Hey guys, welcome to the May Painting Challenge side quest, Getting to Know You. Again, my name is Daniel. If you don't know who I am, you can also look into the upper right hand corner and see my name on the YouTube channel, but you don't have to do that. The big side quest is getting to know who we are and what other things other than modeling and painting that we do, which making messes is evidently one thing that I do really well. You can ask my wife about that, and she will wax for hours about how I do not keep things properly clean. One of my biggest hobbies is I practice martial arts. I am a Nihon Goshin Aikido practitioner, and within the next year I hope to get my black belt. I've been training for about 7 years in this art. Before then I did Taekwondo, I did some Hapkido, which is like the Korean form of Aikido. And I did some Shaolin Kung Fu when I lived down in Charleston. I did that for about 2 years. The Kung Fu was interesting because it was not practical at all. It was the big, beautiful forms that you do in Kung Fu, and so I learned like an empty-handed form. I learned a staff form, and was learning a short staff form when we moved up here to where I live now, away from Charleston. And there was a Kung Fu school here, but they were more practical, like close to Wing Chun type Kung Fu, and I was leaning towards that one until I found the Aikido studio. And they do classical Aikido, which gets a lot of flack on the internet for not being a real fighting art, but whatever. But they also they mix in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they mix in Krav Maga, they mix in some other stuff to where we do Aikido, but we also do a lot of groundwork because my instructor is an ex-policeman. He worked for 10 years on the town police force, and it was to the point where if they needed to subdue somebody who was big and angry, they would call him in because he had been practicing Aikido since he was about 18. 16 I think is when he started, 16. And he could take down anybody who was big and unskilled. I mean, he could just knock them down and get them down without hurting them, without using the baton, and without them really knowing what was going on before they were on the ground and unable to get out of it. And so watching him and his the other instructor at the time, watching them work together really sold me on the Aikido because it looked practical, it looked hands-on, it looked like you could subdue somebody without really hurting them. And I'm at heart a nice guy, and I don't really want to punch somebody in the face unless I have to. But anyway, I rambled a little bit there, but Aikido is one of my hobbies. Another of my hobbies is one that I picked up about 2 years ago, and that's weightlifting. Now, I had done weightlifting before for years and years. I did it when I was a high school teacher. I did it when I was in college. But I had fallen off the horse and kind of sat on the ground and eaten donuts for several years. I got up to about 230 pounds, most of it, I would say at least a 30 to 40% body fat content. And that got old. Especially we went on a beach trip, and there were several pictures of me running around in my swimsuit, and I was like, oh, we need to start running. Yeah, look at them love handles. And that really kind of kicked me into wanting to get back into the gym. Then I got an email from a friend of mine who remembered that I used to lift all the time in college. He's like, hey man, have you looked at this program? And it was something called the 531 program, which you can look it up. The book is hilarious. You can get it for like $10 on Amazon for an e-reader, because it's written by like this huge jock, and the language is jock language. And it was hilarious to me because I was reading this book, which was all about, yeah, you got to pick up the weights and do it. You got to do all this. You don't be a damn pussy. And that's in the book. And I had been reading for my master's in library science, and it was all about denuding masculinity, basically, was what the books were about. You can't let this happen. You can't do this. You need to be nice and gentle. And contrasting the two, one of them was the stereotypical male writing a stereotypical male book, and the others were, scholarly feminists trying to critique and destroy the idea of masculinity. And reading them both at the same time just made it was funny to me. But that's beside the point. But I do love to lift. One of the big proponents for me lifting is that my YMCA has childcare, and I can take my boys over to the gym. They can play with other kids for about an hour and a half while I go through my exercises, and then when I'm done, I can come get them, and they've worn themselves out a little bit. I've burned off a few calories, and we can go home and they'll eat lunch and then go take a nap after a while. And so that's great for me. It's good for them because it gives them kids to play with. It's good for me because I can have a whole hour where I'm not watching to see if somebody set the house on fire. It's really that is a really big, nice thing to have, a little bit of downtime. But in the last 2 years since I've lifted, I've lost a lot of body fat, and I've gone down to, today I weighed in at just under 218. So that was, about a 10-12 pound loss in 2 years, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I've also gone down pant size. I've gone down. I can fit into a large shirt. It still looks kind of small on me, but part of that is also the result from weightlifting. Well, at least that's what I like to think. But also, still, I have a lot of donuts to work off. Third thing that I like is I do enjoy shooting. This is a new to me. It's about a year old. To Glock 21. It is the 45 caliber large capacity magazine 45 pistol. And the reason I bought this is, one, I do like to shoot. I like to target shoot. I honestly, from where I live, there's a very low danger of, say, a home invasion or being mugged on the street. It's just probably not going to happen. I mean, there are some, like I said, the guy that teaches Aikido was a policeman. 3 of the other students that are in there, 2 of them are ex-policemen. One of them is still a current, he's a retired sheriff's deputy who still does part-time work at the courthouse. And I know there are some crazy nut jobs here in town, even though my town's only 20,000 people. One of the guys in the class had been shot in the line of duty. He took a bullet in the side of his head and survived. In fact, he goes for follow-up MRIs every year, and every time the doctor looks at it, he says, "You should be dead, but you're not, so congratulations." And so I know there's danger, but I like to shoot and punch holes in paper, so this is like a $700 hole punch for me, and I don't mind that. It's kind of fun. I do like to shoot. I'm a big proponent for gun safety. This gun is empty. There is nothing in the chamber. There's not a clip in the magazine, and I keep it that way here in the house. I have a magazine in the gun safe that I have in the house, just in case something does happen and I need to have a pistol. But I never keep the magazine in the gun. I never keep a round in the chamber. I know people who do, especially the guy who got shot. He always keeps a loaded gun in his pocket because PTSD, I guess. But yeah, you always treat a gun like it's loaded. If you don't, that's where you get the stories of the 4-year-old or the 5-year-old who kills himself or kills his dad because he's playing with daddy's gun. The guy who's cleaning his gun and it goes off and puts, a half-inch hole in his head. That kind of stuff comes from when you don't treat every gun like it's loaded. That's my soapbox. I'm done with that. But overall, yeah, that's kind of who I am. There are other things. I'm an active member of my church. I sing in the choir. Let's see, I'm an Eagle Scout. I did that for years. It's been 21 years since I was in scouting, but I am fairly old. But love to read. I'm currently reading Brandon Sanderson's newest books, the Stormlight series. I'm just about to finish the second one, which if you like magic and military sort of stuff, then that's for you. If you've read Glenn Cook, he's kind of like Glenn Cook with a little heavier lean towards magic. Glenn Cook is really good if you like military tactics, and somebody. It's not just a tactical treatise. It's people who understand how armies work and how militaries go, and how it's not just everybody runs to the middle of the field and stabs at each other until one side loses. I do play video games. I play a lot of World of Tanks because I can play a game in about 10 minutes, sometimes less. Usually about 4 or 5 is about the time I get exploded. I play some War Thunder, which again is another free-to-play online multiplayer game, World War II simulator for planes. They also have a tank thing. I haven't played that one in a while, just because I've gone back into World of Tanks. I love the Total War series. If you've ever played those, I think somebody else in their side quest talked about Total War. I have the Rome 2. I even bought the Attila Total War, which is it's like an expansion for Rome 2 Total War. As most people will complain, I'm not a big fan of the slowly releasing factions of downloadable content that you can buy for $5.99. But on the other hand, I see that as a way for Total War Studios to make enough money to build another game so that I can buy that one and play it. So, and honestly, if I can spend $100 on the Gash, I can spend $5 on the Vikings, I guess. But still, I still don't like it, and I only bought. Actually, I only have the free DLC for the Attila Total War, but I bought several of the downloadable packs for Rome 2. I have the Caesar Augustus thing, but I'm wandering and blabbering. I do love video games. I don't play them as much now because, like Total War, I can play at nighttime because my kids are asleep, and I can devote time to that. But that's also the time that I build models. That's also the time that I paint models. And even though I like playing the games, sometimes I would rather have something in my hand that I've done than to be able to say, man, I totally had this battle on the game and now I beat the computer. It's pretty good. You know, and so I guess that's it. You know, I do other things. Watch TV. I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the one show that I watch. Well, I also watch Paw Patrol. I also watch, oh shoot, what are they? Doc McStuffins. I watch Lily's Driftwood Bay. I watch Astro Blast. I watch Caillou, because that's what my 2- and 4-year-old watch. And if my TV died and I couldn't watch those shows again, and I would have to tell my kids, oh, I'm sorry, the TV's dead, no more watching those shows, I'm terribly sorry, I would be a happy man, but I'm not going to do that. Anyway, I guess an 11-minute ramble is long enough. That's longer than some of my videos have gotten. I'd planned on priming the gash today, but I puttied up these seams and used some Tamiya putty. And I'm sanding down to the point where I get it. There's some other seams along here that I need to put, now that I use the putty on these big things, I realize that I can manipulate this better than I had been using green stuff and liquid green stuff and hadn't been having good success with that. But this putty will go into the cracks and then I can sand it off. It'll sand really well after just about 10 or 15 minutes of drying. And so I'm going to go over all the seams on this. And I even think I'll patch up the seams on Nagash's rib cage here, if I can. Well, no, I won't, because they're going to be under the robes. And I put some glue, and they don't need to be patched. Okay, well that's a good thing. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday, and I'm going to upload this video and then go eat some lunch. Have a good one.